Welcome to the Warsquared full service year-round podcast. Info on their teams and players. Whether you're a newbie or a longtime veteran of the fantasy wars, Warsquared is the podcast for you. All right, we're going to jump in here quick. We're going to do the Week 8 recap in just a minute, but we first want to shout out, we got the Cats up here, the K-State Cats totally smoking those Pokes from Oklahoma State this week, which was amazing. And then...
There you go. Now it's in frame.
There we go. But we'll jump in with the news that just broke today. The Dan has employed Bank of America, where he and the Commanders do business at, to execute a search team and explore the opportunity of selling the franchise.
You're getting your wish. Your dream is coming true. Christmas is early for you. Don't ask for another thing. You're done.
Yeah,
Nothing
I'm
else
good.
for you this year.
I'm good. I was good before that, but this is a bonus.
And the way the story I read goes down is he was basically told by the NFL, sell the team or we'll take it from you because we have the votes.
Right. That's another thing that they said is they apparently have the 24 votes. And the other thing that came out right after this is that Virginia is pursuing a lawsuit against the Commanders franchise for allegedly they're not paying back the unsold tickets and those types of things. So it's just going to be a pile on at this point. I'm also guessing they probably let the Dan know that the findings from Mary Jo White are not favorable for him.
Oh, he knew they weren't favorable. He's just trying to drag it out as long as he possibly could.
Yeah.
I read one article, they expect it somewhere between 5.6 and 6.5 billion for the team.
Yeah,
Wait, so if I win Powerball tonight, I can only get like a fifth of the team?
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
Man.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the last time Powerball was this big, I was married, and at that point I said, if we win this tonight, we're buying the Titans. Because at that point, I think they were valued at about 750 or 800 million.
Been about 15 years ago, huh?
Right.
Yep. That's probably about the right cost for them at that point in time. But now there are estimated we're getting a new stadium. Yes, finally. As a fan, I include myself in that base. They expect the franchise to be worth somewhere between 4.5 and 5.5 billion once the stadium is built, and going up from there depending upon how well the franchise does on the field.
Yep. Okay, so let's jump into the trade deadline and injury news. The biggest injury out there right now is Cooper Kupp.
Got a bum ankle.
He does have a bad ankle. It looked a lot worse than what I guess it's turned out to be, but he did not practice today. He participated in the walkthrough, but did not practice at all. So I'm not liking his chances of playing this week.
He will play. How much is the difference? The good thing about ankles are very, very, very resilient, and they can recover very quickly because they just do. They're one of the most vital joints in the body. That's what keeps you mobile. So they're very resilient and they repair very easily.
Okay. Now we'll start getting to the trades. The biggest day of trades in the history of the NFL, Roquan Smith traded to the Ravens for a second and a fifth, going back to the Bears.
Well, the Ravens defense has been their number one nemesis this year.
Well, and Roquan was pissed when he saw that Quinn got traded.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what facilitated this, I think.
So now they're 60 miles apart.
They're buddies.
Yep.
Something like that.
And the Ravens defense just got a whole lot better to make them even higher. On the there's three teams in the AFC that have separated themselves as far as talent goes at this point in time. That's the Bills, the Chiefs, and now the Ravens.
Yeah.
Nah,
one of these is not like the other.
No.
Well, the Ravens are number 3 on that list by far. But
yeah, I wouldn't even put him number 3.
Oh, they're going to win the AFC North probably.
Maybe. Chase Claypool goes to the Bears for we don't know. I don't think they've said, or I haven't seen anywhere yet, whether it was the Bears or the Ravens second, because of course the Bears had just got the Ravens second in the Roquan Smith deal. So I'm not really sure which one it is, but if it's the Bears, it's going to be a lot higher. Now, allegedly, the Steelers took the offer from the Bears because it was the Bears pick. The Packers were also in on this, and the Steelers didn't think the Packers pick was going to be as high as the Bears, so they took that deal. I love this deal for the Bears.
Well, the question I have is why are the Bears trading draft picks for players at this point in time, especially one like Claypool, who's going to want to get paid?
Because they can afford to pay him.
When they're clearly in a rebuilding mode, and that second might have been somebody who's better than Claypool.
Yeah, but he
More
kind
than likely
he
better
kind
than
of
Claypool.
helps create that triumvirate, though. I mean, Fields is starting to figure it out. Give him a true go-to. I mean, Claypool's not a burner. I mean, he's a big possession guy.
Oh, he's fast though.
For a big dude, he's fast.
He's
but
6'4", 230. You're not going to find that in the draft this year.
Well, and he's a Notre Dame guy, right?
He's an outdoor guy already.
I mean,
But he has not produced, which is why Pittsburgh is getting rid of him.
Pittsburgh's getting rid of him because they can't pay him. And because Pittsburgh just got George Pickens in the second round.
Yeah, this opens that up.
But Claypool has not produced there for him. Otherwise, they wouldn't have drafted a wide receiver.
He's their best wide receiver this year so far.
He had 11 touchdowns as a rookie.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago. What did they do last year?
Okay. What did any of the Pittsburgh Steelers do last year?
Not a damn thing.
Right. Speaking of the Steelers, they got William Jackson III from the Commanders. I had originally heard it was as high as a 2. No. The Commanders gave a 6th and William Jackson for a 7th.
Yeah. That's please God take him.
That reminds me of the Brock Osweiler trade to the Browns a few years back.
I mean, now the nice thing is that we're getting rid of some salary, but we're also next year we're getting killed by his signing bonus. So we've got a $9 million hit for him next year. So, but I guess we got a 7th.
Well, Snyder stamping everything approved right now. He's in sell mode.
Yeah.
He don't care.
He don't care. He just wants to get paid.
Pre-show, we were talking a little bit about this. TJ Hawkinson goes from the Lions. They send 2/4 to the Vikings for a 2023 second and a 2024 third. Tobin's Irv Smith went out with a high ankle. He's going to be out 8 to 10 weeks. That's effectively ending his career with the Vikings.
Yeah, he's done with the Vikings.
Yeah.
But why would the Lions trade Hawkinson in division?
One, because they can get something for him, and they're not going to compete next year. I mean, what we were talking about to pre-show was a little bit about where the Lions are going to go from here. If they get a high enough pick, they're going to take the new quarterback, and they're just going to straight up cut Jared Goff.
See, I think Jared Goff's going to be extended on a deal that's a team favorable deal. And they're going to take that pick and they're going to mortgage it for 2 other firsts, 2 other seconds, and that type of stuff to fix the defenses, which is what has been the problem this year.
Well, they're going to have to do a lot of fixing. I mean, I just don't.
You can't fix this in one draft.
Yeah.
No,
and they're not going to be in playoff contention next year.
Yeah, they're 2-3 years out minimum.
They're 2 years out. But in that division, the only team that's going to be in division next year competing, while looking at it now, going to be the Vikings. They're going to be good because the Green Bay's not the team we thought they were 6 months ago at this time.
No, Green Bay is definitely showing that they are definitely a mirage, and that's what they've shown.
And the Bears are trying, but they're not. They haven't got it all pieced together yet. So
I think the Bears.
I like the Lions and their rebuilding process better than where the Bears are at this point in time.
I don't know if they can keep getting Justin Fields going. Maybe they've figured out something. We'll see what he looks like with Claypool. Bradley Chubb leaves the Broncos with a 5th rounder to go to the Dolphins, and they get back Chase Edmonds to further confuse the running back situation in Denver.
They got 7 now?
A 2023 first, which is going to be San Francisco's, and a 4th. So they had this thing on there. The 3 ones that Miami got from San Francisco to get Trey Lance, they've used to get Bradley Chubb, Tyreek Hill,
and Waddle.
And Jalen Waddle.
Yeah. It's a pretty effective trade.
That's a hell of a trade.
Woo! Woo!
That may be one of the best in NFL history when it goes down.
Yes.
Wow.
For Trey Lance.
For Trey Lance.
Who has yet to do anything in San Francisco. And with Bradley Chubb in Miami, that solves the one issue they really had, which was
a pass rusher.
Yep.
Now, there is something that says they think they're getting ready to announce an extension with Chubb already. So good for them.
Well, Dolphins are putting it together. They're doing a good job.
Yeah, they've got that rookie quarterback on that rookie quarterback deal.
Can you imagine Chase Edmonds on that flight to Denver? Nobody wants me. They're just passing me around.
I feel like the
He's probably eating worms.
Now, the Broncos then, losing Chubb, went out and got Jacob Martin from the Jets. They gave up a 4th and a 5th for him. I mean, he's like a single-digit sack guy. I mean,
he's the guy you want to cross from Bosa. He does enough to keep one-on-one there. That way they can't double, but he's not going to be the guy that he ever come double.
Yeah, I mean, it's a desperation move. They've got to put a guy there, so they might as well get somebody that they see some potential in. Speaking of running backs, so Jeff Wilson Jr. is traded from the 49ers to the Dolphins for a 5th, reunited him with Raheem Mostert,
And it feels so good.
I guess. I mean, I guess Mostert's due to break down any minute.
He's past due to break down. I mean, that check engine light's blinking on him at this point in time.
Yeah, and Wilson's days in Frisco were over the second that deal was done.
Yeah,
as soon as the ink was dry, Wilson was done.
Yeah, and with CMC doing what he did last week, they're looking at that going, oh.
And Wilson looked good last week, which I think just upped his trade value.
Wilson looks good most of the time when he's in the lineup.
Well,
but he doesn't in the lineup enough.
So the 49ers are on bye this week, and Eli Mitchell is eligible to come back next week. And apparently he's ready. So they've got Mitchell. They've still got Tyrion Davis-Price. And there's another guy. I'm forgetting who it is.
Pretty impactful guy, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely just a bench guy and a special teamer. But, I mean, they've got plenty of running backs. And if something happens to CMC...
Not going to happen.
Then Debo goes to the backfield. So
you're looking like the absolute winner of that deal now, aren't you?
Well, after 1 week, we'll see. It's a long season.
And he's already traded CH,
yeah.
He's already traded him away.
Yep.
We'll cover that more coming up later.
So also Calvin Ridley leaves the betting pool that is Atlanta.
So he lost the parlay.
He lost the parlay, his $1,500 parlay, to win $1,500.
Calvin good news is he can bet on the Falcons now.
Exactly.
That's right. Calvin Ridley to the Jags for a conditional 2023 5th and a 2024 4th that can go as high as a 2 if he meets performance and re-signs
and wins enough bets or what?
No.
For the Jaguars, this was a great deal for the Jaguars.
Yeah. I mean, to get a proven commodity,
they picked
young
up a number one wide receiver who got to be low mileage at this point in time. It was a great deal for them.
Now, he's a little older.
Yeah, he's 27, 28.
27, yeah.
Yeah, I want to say he's 27 already,
But
so...
It's a great deal for the Jags. And then the Falcons are going, we got the salary cap gone. We got that issue taken care of. We got some draft picks. We're building. We're doing all right here.
Well, if you ask me, do you want Zay Jones, Marvin Jones, or Calvin Ridley? I'm going to take Calvin Ridley.
Yes.
And the last deadline, next there are two others that were very small deals. Nyheim Hines to the Bills for Zach Moss and a conditional 6th. Zach Moss had fallen out of favor in Buffalo, so his playing time had virtually went to nil.
He was persona non grata.
Well, Cook had come in and basically filled some of that spot and showed that, hey, he's a cheaper version, younger version, and now they get Hines.
And Cook was way faster than Moss was looking.
Mm-hmm. Cook's still, I think, in the long play, I think he's still the guy there.
I think he is too, but that's 2 years. That's 2 years.
I mean, he's got to get some experience. I mean,
yep.
I think this is we like Nyheim Hines just a little bit better than Devin Singletary.
Well, we like Nyheim Hines to be able to catch the ball in the backfield and be able to teach Cook certain things.
I think that Singletary is 1 and Hines is 1A with what they have right now. I think Hines is maybe just a hair better catching the ball.
Yep. But Hines will be gone after this year.
The ball, not as good running the ball.
Hines will last this year, maybe next year, but more than likely not next year's. Cook will take a bigger, more expanded role.
If it gets him a Super Bowl, Buffalo doesn't care.
Exactly.
All right, jumping into games here. Ravens 27, Bucks 22 on Thursday night. Lamar 238-2, 9 for 43 on the ground. Even after Mandrews left in the second quarter with a shoulder injury, only 3 of 33 in the first half. Isaiah Likely had his coming out party, 6 for 77-1, a must add if you are a Mark Andrews owner. Devin Duvernay has taken over the wide receiver 1 role, 4 for 31 through the air, but 2 for 33 with a touchdown rushing to make up for it. Kenyon Drake caught the other TD from Lamar after Gus Edwards left gimpy with a hamstring.
He just can't stay healthy.
Well,
just can't stay healthy.
yeah, that's the problem with Baltimore. Their running backs can't stay healthy.
Well, their best running back's QB1, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just have to have somebody like a Kenyon Drake that is there that can.
Yeah, you
receive
can't
the
have
ball.
Lamar run it all the time.
Yeah, he's got to rush occasionally. He's got to be open to receive the ball, and that's all you need. For the Bucks, could they look more disinterested?
They look absolutely like they're already planning trips the day after the season gets over to go play golf someplace.
And it doesn't have anything to do with tossing a trophy from one boat to another.
No.
Nothing. They are literally planning their off-season moves now.
Brady can't even toss his trophy wife from one boat to the other anymore.
Oh, she done jumped ship.
Man overboard.
Yeah, Brady was 325 and a touchdown, but those were some light beer type yards. 6 and 113 to Mike Evans. Julio got the late TD. I believe it was with right around 2 minutes left. Playoff Lenny 9 for 34 and 1, rushing 3 for 34 to let down his owners who were counting on his normal high reception game, right, Doc?
Yep. But I won anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What I found out about this game, 2 years ago, Tampa Bay, they probably had the best offensive line in football. Now their offensive line is probably in the bottom 5 of football. As they've got one great player, and the other 4 look like Twinkies out there trying to do stuff. It does not, at this point in time, their offensive line can't control anything, and that makes it impossible for them to do anything with anything.
That was a bunch of very generic sequiturs there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't want to slam them but they don't look like an offensive line. They look like you put this person here and you in the stands can play this position type thing. They don't look cohesive or gelled whatsoever.
Yeah, it's pretty hard when you're down to your 3rd and 4th string or street free agent lineman when you're also playing in front of a Hall of Famer who's expecting you to know all of your assignments because he knows it because he's been doing it for 23 years.
Yep. Next game, Bills versus the Packers. Talking about disinterested, how can Aaron Rodgers play anymore?
Shocking to me here. This was not what I expected.
No.
Allen only 218 and 2, 6 for 49 on the ground. Diggs 6 for 108 and 1. That I'm kind of coming to expect. Knox got the first touchdown, but Green Bay had the D fired up to stop the Bills passing. It just felt like they made Josh run around, like looking for somebody to come open, and he never did. And then Green Bay just ran the hell out of the ball to Aaron Jones, 20 for 143.
Which is what we predicted they would do. The only way you can play with the Bills is to control the time clock and control the ball.
Yeah, Dillon 10 for 54. Raj had 71 yards at halftime, finished with 203
and
2 touchdowns. Romeo Dobbs 4 for 62 and 1. And someone named Samori Toure.
Yeah, that was a nice route that he ran to get that. I mean, he broke it off and actually looked like an NFL dude that wasn't just a rookie who was running the line that he saw in the playbook.
Right.
He adjusted, he adapted, and Raj nailed him.
Yep. I mean,
and it was amazing how fast that ball got there. I mean, that was like a 40-yard pass, and Rodgers saw him turn and threw it.
And the only thing that amazed me even more was how fast Rodgers got to the end zone to be pat him on the head and be like, "That's what we need."
Right.
I mean, maybe it will light the spark underneath Rodgers to do something this year.
Nah,
but
don't get ahead of yourself.
I said it maybe. Didn't say it would.
Don't get too far out over those skis.
But they did a good job of controlling the ball and keeping the game close where they actually had a chance of winning it.
Yeah, I would have liked to have heard what was said in the locker room at halftime because that was a different team that came out. That second half was totally different than what you saw.
But it shows you the Bills can play that ball control game and still win.
Yeah, I mean, you give them
hold on.
You give them a 2-touchdown lead, they're going to be tough because they can turn it on when they need to.
especially in Buffalo. Monday night, Halloween, Browns 32, Bengals 13. This was one of the biggest WTF games I've ever seen. Joe Burrow still has never beaten the Browns, and it was 25-0 before the Bengals scored in the fourth quarter.
How much does he miss
Jamar Chase?
Jamar Chase?
Dramatically.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
No, what he really misses is that offensive line that they had in LSU. Because that offensive line is probably better than the one he's playing behind now.
Yeah. Nick Chubb was the man, 23 for 101 and one reception for 3 yards, a 2-point rushing, just thumping the Bengals into submission early.
That 2-pointer was something. I mean, it was literally a thump. It was boom, and then he just fell on his butt in the end zone.
Well, it looked like in this game they took the soul from the Bengals defense early.
Oh, they did. Well, and then Amari Cooper throws one of the weirdest interceptions. It's one of the worst thrown balls in the history of the NFL, then goes off 5 for 131 and 1 after Brad, who's in the Dynasty League and who's in our Agents League, he pops off to his head-to-head matchup and says, "This is what I like," when he's minus 2 points. And then he just went off.
Boom goes the dynamite.
Right.
Brad, the moral of the story is don't talk trash till the game is over.
Right. And the Bengals lost, they lost 2 corners in that game. You got Cooper, who's one of the all-time great route runners. I don't care if you love him or hate him.
No, he can run great routes.
And he's got a rookie lined up against him. I mean, that kid, his shoes were tied together somehow about every third play.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Burrow was very lackluster, like we talked about, 232 and 2. Boyd and Higgins got the touchdowns. Joe Mixon totally disappeared because they got behind so big so early that they had to go away from the rushing game. 8 for 27, but he bailed out his owners with 7 for 32 on the PPR side, which really is indicative of what's going on with most running backs right now.
Mm-hmm. Most running backs score more points in receptions than they do running the ball at this point in time for fantasy football. There's a few exceptions. But for the most part, if you can't catch the ball in the backfield, you're not going to be a starting NFL running back.
Right.
Watching this game, there's 2 things that came to mind was they actually gave the ball to Chubb.
I was wondering when you were going to get to that point.
And by giving the ball to Chubb, they controlled the game and thumped the other team and took their soul. When that happened, game was over. I mean, you could tell at halftime the game was pretty much over with at that time.
Yeah, you knew that the Bengals were going to have to come out and score early if they wanted it to be a game, and they didn't.
And the second thing I saw about this game was, for all the money the Bengals spent on the offensive line this offseason, they apparently they're not getting the proper return on their dollar.
They're not gelled. There are 5 dudes out there, not 5.
That's the team that needs to go to their bye week, and those 5 dudes need to go on vacation together and learn everybody's intricacies and learn more about each other and just become buddies.
Yeah, not gonna happen this year. That's a 2-3 year process to get that communication down.
Yep.
I mean, what I saw in this game is the Browns came and dressed up like a contender, and the Bengals came and dressed up like the Browns that we all expected.
Yeah,
frankly,
like the old Bengals.
Uh-huh.
I picked the Browns to win that game.
Wow, you got one right.
I had the majority of them right this week.
Doc actually, spoiler alert, had the best record this week.
Yeah. And he's still running.
He's still way behind
He's still in lab traffic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm 10 games behind you still, Tobin, but I'm within 2 weeks. I'm within 2 games of Tommy now, I think.
Yes.
Well,
2
that
games
just tells me you both suck. But
Yeah,
okay.
well, there's no doubt about we both sucking.
So Seahawks 27, Giants 13. I was looking forward to this game. I wanted to see which of these teams looked like they were for real.
Seahawks look for real.
Gino was proving Russ was done in Seattle. He was 212 and 2, 5 for 26 on the ground. DK 6 for 55 and 1. Lockett 5 for 63 and 1.
Should have had 2, but his face mask got in the way.
Yeah, and of course, also Lockett dropped. He dropped that bomb, hit his face mask, and then he also fumbled on the 2-yard line, allowing Saquon to get his TD. Saquon was pretty miserable, 20 for 53 and 1 touchdown, 3 for 9 through the air.
Thank you, Saquon, for getting that touchdown. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Danny Nichols. This just proves that he sucks.
It is tough for a team from the East Coast to travel to West Coast and play in that time slot. it's difficult for a team from the West Coast to the East Coast to travel and do that in the time slot. But Danny Dimes did not look good in this game whatsoever. Of course, none of the Giants looked good in this game. The Giants looked what we thought they would be beginning the season in this game, and that was not a team that had pieces but nothing put together. And I don't know, maybe the tape's coming off, maybe the paint's chipping, I'm not sure, but we'll see what happens this week with the Giants as they continue forward.
Well, we'll see what happens this week. Next week they're going to kill the Texans. Vikings 34, Cardinals 26. Kyler 326 and 3, 6 for 36 on the ground. Out duels Captain Kirk 232 to 2, 422, and a rushing touchdown. But the captain won the war. Thanks primarily to Dalvin Cook, 20 for 111 and a touchdown, 5 for 30. Again, those big receptions help those running backs.
Mm-hmm.
Jefferson, another 6 for 98 and TD-less game.
And Thielen was disappointing again, just like he always is when you pick him.
So I'm not going to pick him this week, and he'll probably go off. And he left injured for a while. Irv Smith got injured, and he was gone for a while with his high ankle, now gone for probably the season. D-Hop still unstoppable, 12 for 159 and a touchdown. Just a huge, what Tobin and I talked about pre-pod was he came back at the exact right moment. Marquise Brown goes on IR. They have nobody else to throw to, so it's just going to be feed D-Hop and watch him score.
Mm-hmm.
Ertz got the other touchdown, one of the other touchdowns, 4 for 34 and 1. Rondale Moore, 7 for 92 and 1. But most of his damage came on a big 41-yarder where he juked a guy, he fell down, and he ran away.
Now, why didn't you pick up Benjamin and then drop him like you should have? That way he goes off.
Somebody else had already picked up Benjamin's. Who
you dropping this week?
I dropped Jameis Winston. That's probably like the one guy I've dropped just about everywhere at this point.
But he's not going to be starting, so I don't think anybody's going to pick him up.
That's right. He's not going to go off. Eagles 35, Steelers 13. Steelers were competitive in the first quarter, and then Jalen Hurts hit A.J. Brown for his second and third TDs in the second, and it was over.
It was over before the game started.
A.J. Brown gave the two cornerbacks I got you, and I got you, and got a flag, and I couldn't have been happier.
Yeah, it was worth every second of that one.
It was.
Miles Sanders chipped in a 9 for 78 and 1 on the ground, which is a monster. And Minshew came in for Hurts midway through the fourth. Chase Claypool in his last game as a Steeler threw a touchdown. And that should tell you just about all you need to know about the Steelers at this point.
And then they traded him away.
Yeah, the Steelers are finally showing the team we thought they would be, but I thought they'd be in the season. I thought they'd be one of the worst teams in the AFC. And quite frankly, they are. When TJ Watt comes, when Watt comes back, we'll see what the defense does. But that offense does not look good at all. That offensive line looks worse than Cincinnati's.
Yeah, I thought that they would be a 7-10, 8-9, 9-8 type team just because of their defense. But without TJ Watt, they don't have that huge difference maker that wrecks another team's game plan.
Mm-hmm. Because of that, they're going to continue losing or continue playing tight games against teams that they should have beaten with TJ Watt.
Yeah, with TJ Watt, they would be a lot more competitive, but having gone to the rookie quarterback, their
season's over with.
They're going to be finding scoring challenging.
Yep.
49ers 31, Rams 14. Debo was out. CMC was all in. The first player since LT in 2005 to throw, rush, and receive a touchdown. 1 for 34 and 1 through the air. 18 for 94 and 1 on the ground. 8 for 55 and 1 on receiving. Ruh-roh.
Yeah. The only thing I can say is a little Caddyshack. Billy.
Yeah. All I can tell you is if they get that performance of CMC every week, man, that NFC Championship game between San Francisco and Philadelphia is going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah. A little conversation again pre-show that Tobin and I had about this is that, I think you can put McCaffrey down for 150 yards every week.
Yeah. Combined rushing and receiving easily 150 yards.
Maybe passing. I mean, it's going to be really wild what's going to happen here. I mean, he threw one to Ayuk, 6 for 81 and 1. Jimmy threw another one to Kittle, 3 for 39 and 1 for Kittle. So a great tight end number. On the Rams side, they're cooked and damn near tanked the season by having Kupp get injured there.
They're done.
I don't know why they had him in the game.
Yeah, neither do I.
They questioned themselves on it afterwards. McVay questioned himself. Why didn't I just run the ball?
Did the Rams have all their own draft picks this year? They trade all those away already?
No, they don't have all of them yet.
Yeah, because those things are going to be worth having this year.
Detroit still has their first this year.
Detroit's going to have 2 picks in the top 10 now because of that.
Maybe 8 for 79, 1 for Kupp. Stafford and every other Ram not named Cooper Kupp are totally unplayable right now.
Agreed.
Patriots 27, Jets 17. Zach Wilson had a huge 355 and 2 touchdown, but 3 interception game, and it was those bad interceptions that killed the Jets. Well, that and a roughing the passer call on Mac Jones that negated a pick 6 for the Jets. Garrett Wilson 6 for 115, and he's usable again with Corey Davis out. Tyler Conklin, who had been great with Flacco but was crap with Wilson up until this, 6 for 79 and 2, so maybe putting him back into your top 10 tight end consideration. Ramondre is the Patriots player to have, 16 for 71 rushing, 7 for 72, 14 points in a PPR. Just a stranglehold on the New England backfield. And in fact, Damian Harris did not practice today, Wednesday, as we record this. And as long as Mac Jones is the QB, Jacoby Myers is definitely playable. 9 for 60 and 1 in this game. And Devontae Parker already out with a knee this week. So Jacoby Myers probably a good play this week.
Yeah, there's the only 2 players you can start fantasy football at this point in time: Stevenson and Myers from the Patriots. Although the defense, depending upon the matchup, is playable.
And the kicker had 21 this week.
But other than that, the quarterback position doesn't look like it's going to be anything. Wide receivers outside of Myers.
I would highly recommend the defense this week. They again have a rookie quarterback on the other side.
Yeah.
Who they're playing?
They play the Colts in New England. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be ugly.
Yeah, it could be real ugly. Saints 24, Raiders 0.
Is there a more disappointing team in football right now than the Raiders?
Nope. Well, maybe the Broncos.
Maybe the Rams.
I mean, those 3 are.
I expected Broncos to suck this year.
The Packers.
Just with all the preseason hype and everybody, oh my God, the AFC West is going to be this, that, and the other, and they're going to just
not.
It's
and Chiefs, everybody outside of the Chiefs
and
crap.
Oh my God, where's the rest of it?
The Raiders couldn't even score against the Saints.
Alvin Kamara went off 8 for 62 and 1, 9 for 96 and 2. Taysom Hill somehow was 10 for 61 rushing, but with Kamara going off and the Raiders providing absolutely nothing, Olave was unable to continue his hot streak, only like 5 for 62. The Raiders, Jacobs, totally disappointed from what everybody had gotten used to with his 100 yards and 2 or 3 touchdowns. He was 10 for 43 and 2 for 11. And Hunter Renfrow and Devontae Adams combined for 2 receptions and 9 yards.
When I saw that in your show notes, I thought that was a typo, so I had to go actually look that up. Holy crap.
Yeah, well.
And 1 for 3 of that was Devontae Adams.
Watching the game, Carr was absolutely running for his life. That offensive line looked more porous than a colander.
So here's something I want to put out there about Derek Carr. I've staked a lot on the Raiders in several different leagues this year. I really believed that with Devontae Adams, Derek Carr was going to take the next step and put up a 40 touchdown
2016 season.
He took a big step, and it's backwards.
Yes.
What I see from Derek Carr is I see a college quarterback that's throwing balls up to his receivers and saying, you make the play on this and run underneath it. And that does not work in the NFL.
What I see is Derek Carr running a quasi New England Belichick offense versus what he ran the last few years in a Gruden vertical passing game offense, which suits the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders have always been known for the vertical pass. And that's what I think is the biggest difference is new coach, new system, no offensive line. I mean,
Yeah, it is
Dude.
difficult to gauge Carr's performance this year because of those three factors Tobin just stated. The number one factor I see more than anything else is that offensive line just gives him zero protection.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I think you're right. If their offensive line can't dominate like they've done in the games that they've won against the Texans, and I forget who the other game what other team they beat, but
They beat the Broncos.
Yes, the Broncos. If they can't dominate on that side, they're done because play action does not work.
no, if Jacobs doesn't go for at least close to 100, they're done.
Yeah.
Because their whole offense is predicated on the play action.
Yep.
And giving Devontae just that little bit of time to get open.
When I think they're running into, looking for Devontae, I think they're running into a little bit of what the Chiefs did late in the Tyreek era there, in that they get to where they're looking so big for that one down the field strike that they're missing the underneath stuff that's come open and closed off by the time they come back to it.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're seeing a lot of there.
And defenses are
And then he's
scheming to take Adams out, and they can because there's not anything else out there.
Well, and especially with Waller hurt,
and
that's
the fact being that he's not getting time to throw.
Well, and in all fairness, two of his targets, Carr threw him too close to the sideline, and he literally had the second foot come down barely on the line. Otherwise, there's 2 receptions for 60 yards.
So to sum it up, as a Chiefs fan, the Raiders suck. Moving on.
You couldn't be happier. Dolphins 31, Lions 27. The Lions scored on their first 5 possessions behind 321-1 from Goff and 2 rushing TDs from Jamal Williams, even though DeAndre Swift was back and caught the only receiving TD. Hawkinson 3 for 80 in his last game as a Lion. Amon-Ra 7 for 69, but pretty disappointing. They didn't really get him involved as much as what I expected. Too many shots to Khalif Raymond. 2 of 382 and 3. Waddle catching 8 for 106 and 2. Tyreek 12 for 188, and Tyreek is now on pace to be 3 short of the single-second record for receptions at 146, and to break the yardage record set by Calvin Johnson by over 100 yards. 2046 is the total that he's on pace for.
Yeah, it's amazing to see those numbers with the numbers that Waddle's putting up.
They're both putting up phenomenal numbers.
I mean, this is back to the Marino era with Super Duper and Clayton and those guys. I mean, the ball's flying around in Miami.
Yep.
Yeah. I'd compare it more to Bruce and Holt in The Greatest Show on Turf, because those guys were putting up 100 plus each week too.
Kind of like the Chiefs receiving corps now, but we'll get to that when we get to their game.
But the thing I took away from this game was not necessarily the Dolphins win the game, but the Lions losing the game.
Yeah, they scored. He just said they scored on their first 5 possessions, and the first thing that came to my mind, and they lost.
Yeah, because their defense couldn't stop the Dolphins from playing catch.
They can't stop air.
All they needed was 1 stop per half, and they win the game.
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't get it.
Yep. Ding, ding, we have a winner.
Yeah, the Lions' offense looks absolutely incredible, and Amon-Ra St. Brown still looks
No. The Lions offense does not look incredible. It looks good. It's not incredible. It's just good. If it was incredible, they would have won this game.
They put up 27 points, which wins most games.
They're just good. They're not incredible. 7 for 69 from what's your WR1 is not good.
Yeah, but he wasn't healthy all the way.
Well, and they were doubling a safety over the top. There's a reason all those throws went the other way, because that's where they were being invited to throw.
Then they can't be incredible. I mean, that's all. I mean, it's
Goff put up over 300 yards.
Okay, who cares? I mean,
they had
not 400, and he had 1 touchdown. Tua had 382 and 3. Waddle was 8 for 106. Tyreek was 12 for 188. That's incredible.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but Lions defense, in my opinion, looked incredible.
And
now, when they get healthy,
had like 80
when the Lions get healthy and get all their players back, it's going to be really incredible to watch that offense. What happens next year, later this year?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still not willing to go there. Broncos 21, Jags 17 from London. Lat Murray and Mel Gordon each run for a TD. Jerry Jeudy 6 for 63 and 1. Greg Dulcich, a breakout again for him, 4 for 87. He is a monster. Double-digit fantasy points in his 3 straight games. I don't know how anybody out there is starting or feeling good about playing Russ or Cortland Sutton right now. another player of who you can't play. I have to nominate all of the Jags except for Travis Etienne, who's 24 for 156 and 1, 3 for 6. And then Evan Ingram, 4 for 55 and a touchdown. Those are the only two Jags you can play right now.
I don't disagree. Don't disagree at all.
My Commanders, 17, Colts 16.
Shows you how bad the Colts suck.
Oh, they're brutal. Terry McLaurin, 6 for 113, a monster catch late to set up the Tyler Heineke rushing TD. McLaurin is now undefeated also in his pro career in Lucas Oil Stadium. He was a local player there, won 3 straight high school championships. I think 2 Big Ten championship games with Ohio State. Antonio Gibson continues to do his best receiving back work here, 7 for 58 and a touchdown on the ground, but 7 for 58 and 1 as a receiver, 7 for 19 rushing. The rest of the Commanders not playable right now other than Gibson and McLaurin. I don't know why they didn't trade J.D. McKissick, probably because nobody wanted that piece of garbage. The Colts going to Sam Ellinger didn't help. 201 passing yards, 6 for 15 rushing. That was apparently supposed to be his big thing.
That was running for his life.
It was.
Is rushing. They really expected that to be something that he would do. Pittman, 7 for 53. JT, 16 for 76, but was the fullback on a Nyheim Hines walk-in TD. JT, consensus number 1 overall pick.
I read a lot of articles that were saying today where it's now's your time to trade him if you're ever going to unload him.
Yeah. Yep. Because he's down. He's going down.
And you're losing that name. The shine's coming off the name right now.
Yeah.
There's no shine left in that name right now.
Their line's terrible. And that was their strength.
Right.
So
yeah, I don't know what the heck happened to them on the O-line, but they have just went totally in there. Oh, and he re-injured his ankle. He was out for a while.
A good running back makes your offensive line look better.
Well, he's a good blocking back, apparently.
Apparently you did good at that this week.
I don't think you get points for that, though.
Nope.
No, you don't, unfortunately. Slam dunk here. Cowboys 49, Bears 29, Dak 250 and 2, 5 for 34 and 1 on the ground. Run second fiddle to Tony Pollard, 14 for 131 and 3, 1 for 16 in a monster performance. But Jarrah, go ahead, hit it. How about them Cowboys? Yeah! Jarrah says Zeke is still the starter.
And he is.
I want some of whatever he was drinking.
Almost to change it back. Oh, by the way, Jarrah's in trouble with the NFL.
Yeah, for his costume. That's
referee.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Blind referee.
Yes. And I don't say I can get in trouble for that. I mean, come on, that was pretty good.
Oh, it is the no fun league. Come on.
Yep.
Yeah. CD 5 for 77 and 1. Schultz back to life with Dak under center, 6 for 74. For the Bears, if they get this from Justin Fields, 151 and 2, 8 for 60 and 1, they can build on this. I was amazed. Now, of course, the biggest mistake that Fields made in this game is not touching Micah Parsons down when he got up and ran it back in for a touchdown. Khalil Herbert, 16 for 99 and 1, and I got to feel he's taken the job from David Montgomery. 15 for 53, 3 for 22 from Montgomery.
I don't disagree. I think Herbert's looked by far the better back.
I
Much more explosive. If I had to choose one of the two to start in fantasy, I'd choose Herbert.
Yeah,
I wouldn't start either one of them unless I absolutely had to.
Yeah, I think Herbert just fits better with Fields. I don't know why. It's just that seems to be what it is. I put in here that the Bears are going to have to draft a young stud wide receiver to make this work. They just traded for one.
No, they still need to draft one.
Yes, they need to draft another one because they need to draft somebody to replace Darnell Mooney. Darnell Mooney is a slot receiver. He's 6 foot, 175 pounds.
I don't think you replace him. I think you add outside of that and keep Mooney in the slot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He goes to the slot. He's not an outside receiver, but they're not going to play very many 3 wide receiver sets.
I don't know. I'd like to spread it out with Fields. I'm just going to go ahead and toss that out there.
Spread it out and let him roll out and use his legs and athletic ability.
I mean,
yes.
He's a more athletic version of Jalen Hurts at that point.
Well, and that's why I like going to
those Wills hurt.
I like going to more of a 2 tight end set because then you've got play action off opportunities off of that, but then you've got 2 big bodies down the field blocking linebackers from getting to Hurts.
Yeah, but you can dictate into a nickel if you go 3 wide. You can dictate into a nickel, take a linebacker off the field. I don't know. I like him running against a linebacker too. So
I like him
I
running.
like him using his athletic ability on the edge.
and they're letting him do it finally. These last 3 weeks we've seen that.
And you've seen the progress in how well he's produced.
And he's got a live arm. I mean, that's the other thing too.
But it's not accurate.
He's got a long throwing motion. They've got to get somebody in there to work with him on that and tighten it up. But he can sling it.
But it's also another reason they go get the 6'4" Claypool. His catch radius is a lot better than a 5'10" or a 6-foot guy. He's going to be able to snag a lot more balls, I think. So I think that was a great move for the Bears. What may have been the most exciting game that nobody's seen was the Falcons 37, Panthers 34 in overtime.
Can you name the first place team in the NFC South?
I just did.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Fly Falcons fly.
Yep.
Oh, they're bringing back the Dirty Bird. Come on, they've got to.
They've got no choice
Absolutely.
but Algier needs to learn the Dirty Bird.
Yes.
So these two teams threw haymakers at each other. It came down to a crazy play to DJ Moore, who ended up 6 for 152 and 1 to get the Panthers even. But he scores a touchdown. He's jacked out of his mind. It's the furthest throw in the air in the NFL this season, 67.5 yards in the air from PJ Walker to DJ Moore. They tie the game. In my mind, he thought we just won the game. They scored a touchdown. And what do you think of when you think of scoring a touchdown?
Take my helmet off and go celebrate.
7 points.
Mm-hmm.
And in his mind, he does the math. We just scored 7. We're up 35-34.
Math is hard.
And in my mind, I'm
He
like,
forgot to carry the one.
I'm like, no, dude, it's just tied.
Mm-hmm.
But he got so excited, he rips his helmet off. Another player rips his helmet off, and they get a 15-yard penalty that backs him up. And then the crappy kicker, who's on his 3rd or 4th or 5th, whatever team, misses by a foot.
Okay, a couple things on that one. One, Tommy, you got to get a life. 67.5. The 0.5 you had to really get to that point. I mean, that's detail right there, buddy.
You know Tommy doesn't have a life.
He needs to get a life and rent some friends, apparently.
The only life he has is talking to Billy on the phone.
Okay, got it.
Sorry.
And then the second, if I'm in Atlanta's DB room right now, the only thing I say on Monday is, how in the hell does their one weapon get 5 yards behind both of you?
Well, he got behind both. Yeah, there was 2 guys on him.
He's
and
double
he was
covered,
behind
and
him.
he's 5 yards behind him.
Yep.
How in the hell? I mean, start at the back of the end zone and work forward.
Or holding, that way it's a 5-yard penalty or 10-yard penalty rather than being anything else.
Just double team and tackle his ass, take the spot foul. It's over anyway.
Now, they further kicked themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
The Panthers did. They
Yes.
get an interception to start overtime.
This is like a TV commercial. But wait, there's more.
Yes. Well, to win a missed field goal just for you.
They run it 3 times and miss a short field goal, like a 35 or 37 yarder. I can't remember what it was.
So they
but
have a new kicker this week.
I don't think so. I think they're sticking with
I
him.
think Amendola's available again, isn't he?
I think
He'll
so.
try his 3rd team this year.
Oh, for sure. He can shake eponymous just like this guy did. So they miss the field goal in OT, and then of course Atlanta goes down, and they've got Younghoe Koo,
Wrong way, coup.
41-yarder, wins the game. Now Donta Foreman, a monster with no Chuba Hubbard, 26 for 118 and 3, pretty much locking up RB1 status. Chuba Hubbard was limited in practice today, so I think at best Hubbard's getting the passing back role. I think they're going to ride with Donta Foreman here.
Oh, yeah.
So if you've picked him up, he's the number 1 pickup if he's available in any of your leagues. Now, Mariota threw for 253 and 3, which is
That
amazing.
doubled his season total.
Kyle Pitts, appropriately on the day before Halloween, was resurrected from the dead, 5 for 80 and a touchdown. And then Demir Bird and Tyler Algier got the other ones. Now, Tyler Algier, if they would actually ever commit to him, he could be a pretty solid running back. I'm expecting him to be the starter next year.
I watched part of this game just because the scoring that was there. I hate to tell you this, but Atlanta's going to make the playoffs, folks.
There's a shot. Somebody's got to make it out of that damn division.
I don't.
It's not the Saints.
I'll
not the
take-
Panthers.
I'll take
It's not going
that
to be the
bet.
Bucks.
How much do you want to put on the on the Panther or the Falcons making the playoffs.
Can't we just say that we think that without wanting to bet all the time?
No.
That's all you want to do is bet here, bet there. What are you, a gambling junkie?
Yes.
And there we have it, folks. One more game.
Okay. The most boring game of the season. The most boring game of the weekend.
No, it was a fun game. I mean, it was fun to watch Derrick Henry.
Oh.
Now, I do have an issue with King Henry. He let me down.
He didn't break off an 85-yarder?
He let me down. I predicted on last week's show he would have 220-2. He had 219-2. That is unacceptable.
I'd cut his ass.
Yeah. I'd put him on waivers too.
That is unacceptable.
Maybe practice squad.
I'm not going to do that, but he can.
If I had Derrick Henry anywhere this year, I would straight up put him on the bench during his bye week.
That's
And
because
the
you're
only time.
definitely a dumbass.
That's the only time.
Well, on the bye week, I could see doing that, but
That's
you
right.
know,
Tommy's always wrong.
That's right.
Derrick Henry's probably going to score something on his bye week.
Yeah.
Well, he probably does some scoring. I'll agree with that. Dameon Pierce, 15 for 35, 3 for 16, and a touchdown with under 30 seconds to play after a pass interference on Brandon Cooks. Got him inside the 5. Spoiler alert, the Texans are going to get killed by the Eagles Thursday night.
All you need to know is to tune in to watch the final score tomorrow night's game because it's going to be big for the Eagles and low for the Texans. In watching this game, there's two things that I realized. One is if you weren't a Ryan Tannehill fan, you became a Ryan Tannehill fan watching what Willis goes through. And number two, Tannehill will be the starting quarterback in Tennessee next year because Willis ain't going to be ready.
Oh, he can be ready.
No, he's got to cut his throwing motion to at least a quarter of what it is and throw the damn ball when he's supposed to rather than holding on to it, waiting for the guy to get open.
Who's he supposed to throw it to? Who have they got in Tennessee that's worth a crap?
There were multiple times that game that he was 2 seconds late throwing the ball when the wide receiver was open 2 seconds before. Tannehill's been hitting with those people with.
So it's his first start.
Yeah. Remember what I said during the preseason? The number one reason why Tennessee, the number one thing that Vrabel preached to him all preseason was to throw the damn ball. Don't hold it, don't pat it. Throw it on time like you're supposed to rather than wait for the wide receiver to become open. Throw it to the spot where he's supposed to be at and trust him to be there. And he didn't do that.
Well,
Yeah,
Justin Herbert didn't do it against the Broncos.
He'll get there. He's young. This is the first time he's played real football
in 3 years.
Anywhere near this level. I mean, he's never seen anybody
He
near
will
this
not
level.
be the starting quarterback in Tennessee next year unless they rebuild.
And I think it's a good time to start a rebuild with a new stadium getting built. So
with King Henry and everything else going on there, Tannehill will be the starting quarterback next year.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But coming out of this game I was disappointed in King Henry too because he got caught from behind on a big run. Because he always has at least an 80, 85-yard run against the Texans. He didn't have that this game.
He was tired.
That being said, I'll take the 219-2 any day of the week.
Yep. On the weekly picks, Doc was 10-4. I was 9-5.
Whoa. What?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
But no, that's for you guys this week for allowing me to beat you.
Yeah, well, we had to keep you in the game
I
somehow.
appreciate you took pity on me.
Yeah, so Tobin's still way out in front. So we'll jump out here for a quick break, and then we'll come back with some more halfway point recaps.
After you've listened to Warsquared and have your lineups locked in for the week, we invite you to go over and check out 3 Dogs and a Dude. It's a podcast inspired by 3 crazy rescue dogs and their dude who like having conversations with interesting people. You never know who might pop into the studio as a guest, and we guarantee some laughs. Check out 3 Dogs and a Dude wherever you get your podcasts. Indian Media Productions is your one-stop shop for all of your media creation needs. Whether it's producing a podcast like the one you're listening to, or maybe you just need some video for your social media and websites, sales and promotional videos, or even TV commercials, we've got you covered. Check us out at IndianMediaPro.com.
All right, so we'll jump back in here with some of our recaps. We'd started that last week. We had went with our overperformers, and we're going to come in here with the underperformers, and we're going to lead the way with the Green Bay Packers. I had them at 13-4. Doc had them at 16-1. They are currently 3-5. I originally had them being 7-1 at this point.
I had them originally being 7-1 at this point in time, and quite frankly, I'm more than disappointed in the Packers and what they've shown this year.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about it. We think they're absolutely a fraud. The Buccaneers 13-4 for me, 16-1 for Doc. They're currently 3-5. I think we both had them at like 5-2.
I had them at 6-1 is what I had them should be at this point in time. Man, they don't even look like they're going to win 8 this year.
It's pretty rough. I think they get the win this week. Spoiler alert. 49ers, I had them at 16-1. You had them at 14-3. They're currently 4-4, but we had them, I think, both undefeated at this point.
Yep. I believe I had them at 6-2 at this point in time, but I have to go back and recount that. But, the 49ers, they've been unhealthy, but I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if they went undefeated the rest of the season, the way they looked this past week and the way those pieces are now coming together and they're getting healthier.
That always scares
Especially
me
on
when we say something like that, and then 2 weeks from now we have a big injury.
Yeah, especially on defense. They're getting healthy on defense is where they need to get healthy at the most.
Yeah. Chargers 13-4 for me, 12-5 for you. Currently 4-3. I think we had them should be 6-1 or something.
I had both those they should be 6-1 at this point in time, so they are way behind where we thought they would be at.
Yeah. Now I have the Lions on here at 7-10 for me, 6-11 for you. They're currently 1-6. So actually they are the exact record I had predicted so far. We had them both really catching fire in the second half.
I had them at 2-5 at this point in time. I still think they're going to catch fire. That offense looks good, and I think it's going to do them to get better as they get healthier.
I thought it was
Get
incredible.
players better. Well, incredible. I'll stay with incredible. How does that sound?
Okay. Just asking.
Not a problem.
Asking for a friend.
Not a problem. Tell Billy to shut up.
We
It's the only friend you got, isn't it?
we also I also wanted to just go out here for teams that we had just right or on track. We both had the Bills 13-4. They're currently 6-1. No problems there. Titans, I had them 11-6. You had them 14-3. They're currently 5-2.
Yeah, I had them 6-1 at this point in time. They got beat by the Giants, which is the only game that I've missed so far.
Chiefs 13-4. You had them at 10-7. They're currently 5-2.
And that's because the Chargers have underperformed so dramatically.
And
Buffalo and the Raiders and
yeah.
And by the way, the Chiefs look pretty good too.
Cowboys, I had them at 13-4. You had them at 7-10. They're currently 6-2.
Ruh-roh, Raggy. I was wrong.
Yeah. Shocking.
I know it happens every now and then, unlike you, who's wrong every day.
Are you high? That's right. That's kind of what I thought. I thought we might have to hear from Jimmy Johnson again, maybe.
How about this, Cowboys?
Yeah. And then just right or right on track. How about them Denver Broncos in Broncos country? Let's ride. I had them at 6-11. Doc had them at 5-12. They're currently 3-5, right on track.
Yep, I had them
always wrong.
at this point. I had them at 2-6 going at this point in time. So I'm one game. They're one game better than I thought they were going to be, which they ain't going to get much better, folks.
No.
Can't get worse.
And
Well,
what's
they can
really
get
funny
worse.
is
No, I don't
Seattle
think.
owns their first round draft pick. So Seattle, no matter what, we thought Seattle was going to be horrible. They're still going to have a top 5 draft pick. It's just going to be Denver's rather than their own.
The best meme of the week with the trade deadline was the fact that there was one that there was a picture of Geno Smith and it said the Broncos tried to trade Russ for Geno straight up, and the Seahawks told him to kick rocks.
So if we're looking at waivers this week, Donta Foreman is for sure at the top of my list.
No doubt.
I think he's about 52% owned going into waivers this week. So good luck if you haven't already got him. With the Cooper Kupp thing, I like picking up an Allen Robinson. Primarily, I'd say Van Jefferson is a better play.
Are you finally off the Allen Robinson bandwagon?
I'm not 100% off. I've got like a toe left on it, but it's pretty bad.
Is he as bad as I say he is?
He's not as bad as you say he is, but he
Close.
is not performing at all. He is not working out like what they thought he would work out.
Is he better than which one is he closer to what you thought he would or what I thought he would be?
He's way closer to what you thought he would be.
Okay.
Number 3, Isaiah Likely. I'm telling you right now, if Mark Andrews doesn't play, this guy's going to go off, and he's going to keep going off.
Well, that's because the tight end's always Jackson's safety blanket.
Well, and now it gives them the opportunity. How do you defend 2 tight ends? If they run a lot of double tight end sets there.
Yeah, well, they should.
This
And
guy isn't
he's athletic.
he's not as much a tight end. I don't even think he's as big as Kelsey.
He's
No,
athletic.
He's a tight wide receiver.
Yeah, he's a big
Wow.
body guy.
You got buzzed for that one.
A wide
Sorry.
receiver tight.
I know you.
All right, number 4, Devin Duvernay, because he's the only real wide receiver in Baltimore. I mean, what are they going to do?
Robinson's there.
Okay, Demarcus Robinson, maybe. I don't know. Pretty soon they'll be
If you're
playing
desperate,
Deshaun
you pick him
Jackson.
up. Yes.
But Devin Duvernay at least is factored into the game plan.
Mhm.
I think Robinson's more like, oh crap, who's open? Oh, nobody's covering him? Robinson's open. And then number 5, I put Greg Dulcich on there. If he's available in your league, I think this week it was like 5 or 6% going into this week. If he's available, you got to grab him.
I don't disagree.
Especially in a dynasty.
Yep. I also have Rondell Moore. Justin Fields is actually making a list of somebody who should be picked up because he's
Yep. As much as he's going to run.
Joshua Palmer, Evan Ingram. He's a true tight end, and there's not very many tight ends out there that can get you 10 to 12 points per game at this point in time. And Kadarius Toney, not necessarily for this week against the Titans, but this week going forward once he gets integrated in the offense for 2 weeks.
Yeah, he suddenly got healthy on that flight to Kansas City.
Yeah, there was something about the oxygen level in Kansas City that makes him better and makes him healthier than New York.
You can go back to 2 years ago when the Giants drafted that guy, and I said that was the worst pick I've ever seen. I don't know what it is. It's the Florida wide receiver thing. These guys do not pan out very often.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all. But going to that system with Pat, he's not going to be double covered, and he's athletic enough to get open. If he does, Pat's going to get him the ball.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I kind of agree with Tobin. Maybe next year he's a play, but man, I wouldn't play him over Juju, MVS. I wouldn't even right now play him over Hardman. I mean, he'd get all of Sky Moore's snaps because that dude is nothing.
I think what this move did for the Chiefs was it gives them control because MVS and Scantling, I believe, are 1-year deals.
I believe so
No,
too.
Juju is a 1 year. MVS is a 3 year.
But there was an opt-out or a buyout after year 1.
Okay. And Hardman is in his walk year.
It just gives him depth there.
So Sky Moore and
Tony
Tony are the 2 control guys,
3 and 4.
and they kind of fit the same mold, really. So it'll be interesting.
Line them up and run them out there and see what happens.
a couple other people to watch. Terrace Marshall with no Robbie Anderson. He is finally starting to come along under PJ Walker. We talked about Marcus Mariota. He's still out there in a lot of leagues. I like Nico Collins. I liked him more if Brandon Cooks would have got traded because he'd have been the only show in town, but he's already ruled out for Thursday night's game. If you haven't picked up Isaiah Pacheco and he is available in your league,
especially dynasty leagues,
he gone.
Do it now. I had some interest when I was typing this together about Ronnie Rivers, and then I looked at his numbers in LA and I have lost interest.
River done dried up.
It did real quick. Top fives. I'm going with Pat, Josh, Jalen, Burrow, and Kyler.
I've got Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, Burrow, and Tua.
Tua's not bad. I think Kyler usually does well against Seattle, and it's in Arizona, so that's why I liked him there. At running back, a big week with a bunch of running backs off. I like King Henry at the top. Love Ken Walker against the Cardinals. Miles Sanders might break 200 against the Texans.
Nah, they'll get him out of there before that. You'll see Gainwell.
Yeah, he might have two big runs, and that might be all it takes. He had 9 for 78. That's damn near 9 yards a touch against the Steelers. Donta Foreman should smash again, and I love Travis Etienne against
I have
the Raiders.
Henry, Jacobs, Sanders, Walker, and Etienne. I think Etienne in Jacksonville at this point in time, man, he looks impressive for a back.
They haven't really even started throwing the ball to him yet.
No, not yet. They haven't really used him the way we thought he would be. More of a wide receiver, more of a scat back type thing. But man, he looks good there.
There's a bunch of talk going around right now that the Jaguars' purposefully showcased James Robinson the first few weeks.
100%.
And if they did, that was a brilliant move on their part to get him out of there and get something for him and let Etienne
And it upped the
move
value
into
they
the
got
system.
for it.
Yep.
Waiting for the right injury. You know it's going to happen.
Yep.
Found it, got it, traded him, and Etienne got to learn the system, be integrated back in the speed of the game from missing all of last year.
Well, and just more time to heal, really, without taking the pounding of 25 touches a game.
Wide receivers, I have Cup number 1, even though he's not injured. Even though he's injured, I told you I was going to leave Cup there till proven otherwise. He still deserves to be number 1 in my mind. Diggs is 2, Jalen Waddle, Justin Jefferson, and AJ Brown.
Where's Tyreek?
He's number 6.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I can't put Cup there with this injury. And flying cross country. Maybe if it was in LA, I'd give him a top 5, but I can't put him in there. I'm going to put Diggs at the top now until further notice. Allen looks for him early and often. I got to put Tyreek Hill at number 2. The pace he's on is sickening. Jalen Waddle, I've got to put him at 3 because he's the number 2, putting up top 5 numbers. I'm going to keep putting Justin Jefferson in there. Again,
And you should.
the Commanders can't stop the pass. We only stopped it in Indianapolis last week because it was a rookie.
Because it was Indianapolis.
Right. Captain Kirk's coming home, so we'll see what he does. And then I put DeAndre Hopkins in there because until you stop him from getting double-digit receptions and 130 plus yards a game, he's going to stay in the list.
But AJ Brown's playing the Texans.
Yeah, but if they were up on the Steelers that much, they could be up 35-0.
They
at
got it
halftime.
because they threw the ball to AJ Brown.
Yeah, but if they're still up that at half, they're sitting.
Oh, yeah.
that's what-
on
that's
I
what
mean,
Thursday
they're eating
comes in.
popcorn the whole second half.
Yeah, but AJ Brown last week in the first half had 3 touchdowns and over 140 yards.
yeah, he won't have that again because they'll run the ball so much better against the Texans. I mean, I still expect him to have 120-1 and be done at halftime.
That's pretty good numbers for half a game.
Yeah, for sure it is. Tight ends, you know who's on top. It's going to be Kelsey. It's going to
Mandrews.
be Mark Andrews. And then pretty much filling it out, the same guys. Ertz, Hawkinson, Goddard.
I took Hawkinson out and put Everett instead. Hawkinson going to a new scheme, has to learn the system, has to learn to develop some chemistry. That's why I took him out and put Everett in, even though Pitts might have made Pitts was number 6 on the list.
Nah, he's due for a blocking week now. They've kind of been alternating.
Yep.
It is kind of true.
For sleepers, I have Devonta Smith, Tyler Boyd, Romeo Dobbs. He gets Detroit, and Aaron Rodgers is due for some sort of bust out game sometime.
I need you one time, bud. I need you one game.
I'm putting James Robinson on here. I think this is a great week for them to get him involved for the Jets. And then Chris Godwin.
I put T. Higgins on here. I think T. Higgins in that offense without Jamar Chase coming off what he did last week, he's going to have a hell of a week this coming week.
But how's he a sleeper?
Well, how is Boyd a sleeper? How is Devonta Smith a sleeper?
Because Tyler Boyd's not the number 1. He's the number 3.
Now there's Higgins, the number 1. He's the presumed number 1 this week, but with Boyd there, Boyd had more targets this last week than what Higgins did.
Oh, okay. Okay. On to the league recaps. In the Dynasty League, Billy beat me thanks to King Henry. Tobin smoked the Trogs and almost became the top scoring team in the league. Doc retains that title.
For another week or two.
I got you by 50-something at this point in time, so I figure for another week I'll be there.
And he came from behind to beat Ross, which at the start of the week, it didn't look like that was going to be what happened. But then A.J. Brown happened, and that propelled Doc over the top. Also, big trade in here, and I don't think I got all the particulars
big
on
trade.
it written down. Well, there's another trade.
Yeah, Billy made another trade in this league.
Mr. I'm done trading,
Yeah, Mr. I'm done trading.
and has now pulled 2 more off, I think, since then.
Well, what we're discovering is the only player that's making trades is whoever Billy's talking to. Because basically everybody's holding out for Billy to make them an offer.
Pretty much.
Yeah, because eventually, if you start a trade offer with Billy, you can end up with a trade. It just matters whether or not you want to get the trade done. So Shook and Billy had a trade. Billy got Tom Brady, George Kittle, and Dalvin Cook, and he gave up DJ Moore, Gus Edwards, Tua, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and a third-round pick. I mean, in a dynasty, it helps Billy this year.
Yes.
Going forward, it, in my opinion, hurts him. For Shook, it's a slam dunk win.
Yes.
I mean, gets dramatically younger, gets Tua, who is performing, should perform next year.
I mean, he's got weapons around him.
Gets CEH, who is, in my mind, kind of an unknown, but he's got 3 20-plus point weeks.
Yeah, next year it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. I don't know if he's in Kansas City.
I don't think he is in Kansas City next year.
And DJ Moore, who now that Matt Rule's not there and you've got a quarterback who's willing to uncork it and throw it to him, is becoming a monster.
Yeah. The wild card there, I think, is Gus Edwards, too. I mean, he just can't seem to stay healthy. And does he stay in Baltimore?
Yeah, I think I
think he's out of Baltimore next year.
a toss-in type player.
But it was an interesting trade to watch because it was amazing to see how quickly Billy gave up on CEH.
He was looking at him as a move him along, all the way along, I think. Because, I mean, when you've got Swift and Henry, and, I mean, he was never going to crack the lineup.
No, but it was interesting to see how quickly he gave up on him, rather than being the number 3 person there that you keep putting.
I think he was his number 4, actually,
Well, the good
on
thing
the
about
running
this
back
league is
side.
we have one running back, then we have 2 flex spots.
Mhm.
And so CEH, I like to fill in one of those flex spots for him for 1 or 2 weeks of the year. He's gone now. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I'm just glad he's not my problem anymore.
Yeah.
no kidding. I mean, I'd play so many players over CEH
Yes.
because he's unreliable.
Yes. He might
Well,
get
the
20. He
ball
might
gets
get 2.
spread so wide in that offense. It's hard to unravel that one right now.
In the BNI league, I got carded by Shook. I played Derek Carr and got his 1.94 points. Tobin got rolled over by Joe. Doc smashed Zane behind a huge games from AJ Brown, King Henry, Waddle, and Dak. Just another degenerate gambling note there. Had you taken Alvin Kamara, AJ Brown, Donta Foreman, and who's the other guy who scored 3 TDs? Oh, CMC.
CMC didn't score 3, but he accounted
He
for
counted
3.
for 3.
Had you taken those 3 to account for 3 TDs on a parlay, a $10 bet won $2.7 million.
Oh,
I want to go back a week.
Yeah, no doubt. So Doc's win tied in with Randy, who lost to Megan, and then the projector was beaten by Allie and all of her Bengals. So we've got 5 of the 10 teams are 5-3 in the BNI league, 3 that are 4-4, 1 3-5, and then 2 2-6s.
and I'm one of those 2 and 6s, as is Zane, who is in peril of potentially double pancake duty between
Double parent.
the Dynasty and BNI.
So can he do that all in one night? Does he have to do 2
Well, no,
separate
I
nights?
think it's not. And we're going to play a spoof on Weekend at Bernie's, and it's going to be Weekend at IHOP.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
no-
it's 2 separate punishments.
Yeah, I mean, it's like,
It's not-
it's like we're going to do the Weekend at Bernie's meets the first 48. Mash it together, and
Yeah.
that's Zane at IHOP.
Yeah, but let's be real. He can, between us going there and helping him and him eating pancakes, he's going to be there about 20 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, 48 hours is a lot of freaking pancakes to burn off.
It is. It can take him a month to
If you
recover.
do that in the
colon-wise.
same weekend, I ain't going down to help twice in the same weekend. I'll help
No,
once.
I'll help once. I'll help once over two separate weekends, but I'm not going to go down twice.
So,
Well, okay, so here's what's potentially interesting about that, and everybody who was not there for pancakes doesn't understand this, but he could potentially within a couple of hours be out of one bet.
yes.
Yes. And then have to work the second bet off.
But then he's got 24 hours staring at him and no help coming.
Yeah, but I mean, I was there for
3
5
hours, 4
or
hours, yeah.
6 hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but how many pancakes did you help with?
I think I had 6. So,
So you-
2 stacks.
2 stacks.
2 hours.
Uh-huh. So, yeah, the first 24 you could burn through. the second 24 is going to get you because
He's gonna
all
do
the
it-
help
he's
will
gonna
come
have to do it
in.
on 2 separate weekends.
Yeah,
He
because
can't
if
do
you
it-
try and
he
do it
can't
in the same weekend, you're still going to be there probably a good 30 hours.
You're going to be there for a long time because
Maybe not. Maybe it's just 24, but still.
after 2 or 3 short stacks, you're done there, because those short stacks aren't like what we thought. The dimes, the silver dollar ones like this. Those puppies are.
Well, Doc's were. The rest of ours were not.
Yeah.
Where the rest of us got the small ones somehow.
That's because we paid the kitchen a little bit extra for him.
Now, we did have a discussion the other day about making it the Riverside Cafe
Oh.
pancakes.
God, that would be brutal.
There is no chance.
And just
What
an
are those
hour
pan-
per pancake,
An
maybe.
hour per can. It would have to be an hour per pancake at that point in time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure if we approached Paul would be like, "Yeah, let's do it." But man, if you do that one of those pancakes has got to equal 3 hours.
No.
No, one
One
pancake,
pancake
is
an hour.
Because I could make myself miserable and eat 3 pancakes.
One of those is probably about equal to those 3 stacks at IHOP. Pretty close.
Okay, I can buy that, but man, that's going to be miserable.
Oh, that'd be-
Miserable.
yes.
I like it. We can support a local business. I'll bet we could get Riverside to sponsor this event.
I bet you we could too.
I think, yeah. If you know
We'll have to
somebody,
talk to Paul and see what we can do
if you
about
know
that.
somebody, have them connect with us.
All right.
I'll get a hold of Paul.
In the Scott Fish Bowl.
You got killed again, didn't you?
Oh my
I'm seeing a
God.
trend here.
Yeah, Tommy drafts the team. It's going to suck.
So I had,
Tommy's always wrong.
thank you. I had Carr and JT, and I think they combined
2 points.
for like 4 points. The guy I faced, he had a monster lineup. Tua, he scored 190 points. I scored 105.
So, are you eliminated from playoff potential yet?
Oh,
there,
yes. Yeah.
I mean, your season is.
Well, back when he was doing this draft, when he was in this draft back in July, I knew that was going to be the sound we're going to hear probably the middle part of September.
Gotcha. All right. Well,
Because
good news is we don't have to spend a lot of time on that in our segment because we're over time. So wrap up the agents and let's get to the next.
The Agents League, Doc beat Marty. Wardo lost to give Doc sole possession of first in his division. I survived against Darren to stay in second. Brad, as we talked about earlier, stupidly pointed out Amari Cooper was -2 points, and then he went off and brought Toby back to win that.
you know what?
How
One thing all three
how
of these
big a
leagues-
bite was that out of his backside for that?
Oh, a huge, huge.
That's karma at the best.
You know what all three of these leagues have in common? I'm in first place in all three of them.
Well, yeah. Sunshine shines on a well digger's ass half the day, So.
Broken clock.
Okay, so that's it for this episode. We'll do the bonus segment that'll be out there to preview all the rest of the games. We appreciate anybody who came in who's new to the show. Check out the archives and see what other crazy stuff we've talked about before.
Give us feedback on Facebook. Tell us what you like, what you don't like, what we can do better. Whether Tommy needs more makeup or what.
Oh, lots more.
Sorry, we can't help with either one of those. And we're out.